The first rain, Emma, was a 15-year-old girl living with her mother in a small house on the outskirts of Seattle. Her mother, Rachel, was a kind woman who worked at a local grocery store nearby. Every day, Rachel would go to the market in the morning to buy things needed for the family. But on one rainy day, Rachel never returned. The rain that day was unforgettable. It fell in heavy sheets, and the wind howled so loudly that even the tall trees in their backyard shook. Her mother had gone out in the morning, but by late afternoon, as the rain still hadn't stopped, she had not come home. Emma began to feel worried. She called her mother several times, but no one answered. The oddity at the store, Emma couldn't find her mother anywhere inside the store. She walked through the aisles and then went to the back of the store, where her mother usually worked. There, she noticed something strange, wet footprints on the ground, as if someone had walked through, led to a back door of the store where a window had been shattered. Emma bent down to examine it and found her mother's ring on the ground, shattered, which made her even more confused and worried. The mysterious warning suddenly. Emma heard a faint noise behind her. Turning around, she saw an elderly woman standing at the back door, looking at her with suspicious eyes. "Are you looking for your mother?" the woman asked. "Don't believe everything you see, my dear. There are things you should never uncover." Emma couldn't understand. But the woman quickly disappeared, leaving behind a chilling feeling that passed through her. Thicker fog, Emma returned to the car and drove home. But the farther she went, the heavier the air felt, and the fog became denser. The rain continued to fall, but this time, it wasn't just rain. It felt like droplets coming from somewhere unseen. She felt like she was stepping into another world, one where everything around her carried a mysterious and frightening aura. Following the trail, Emma drove through the desolate streets, her fear growing with each passing moment. The rain wouldn't stop, and the fog enveloped everything, making her visibility nearly non-existent. Yet, she kept driving, determined not to turn back until she found her mother. Suddenly, she noticed a faint light flickering through the fog, and it felt as though something was guiding her. The wet marks on the road slowly led her to an unfamiliar neighborhood, one she had never seen before. The strange neighborhood, Emma parked her car at the end of the street. The old, abandoned houses seemed to be deserted. The air in this neighborhood was cold and eerie. She walked down the narrow streets, feeling like she had stepped into another world. A faint sign with the words, "Eyes of the Sea," appeared in front of her. She couldn't understand the name of the street. But the strangest thing was a house at the corner, with lights on while all the other houses were in darkness. The mysterious house. Emma approached the house, her suspicions rising. The door was unlocked. She stepped inside, and a wave of cold air enveloped her. In the dim room, an old armchair sat in the middle of the room. Suddenly, a figure appeared from behind the chair. It was a woman with deep, hollow eyes that were identical to Emma's mother. "You found me, didn't you?" the woman said. The hidden truth. Emma stood frozen, unable to believe what she had just seen. "Mother." "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice full of confusion. The woman smiled faintly and stepped out of the shadows, revealing her face and eyes full of pain. My dear, I am not your mother. Your mother disappeared in that rainstorm, but I took her place. I am the reflection of things that cannot be seen, the shadow of everything, she said, her eyes hiding a deep secret. The darkness your mother experienced. The woman continued. Your mother was pulled into another world, a place where souls can never find the light. The rainstorm that day was just a sign, a gateway, and she was drawn into it. She didn't die, but she can't return. I am the one who replaced her, a part of that darkness. Emma felt dizzy, but she still couldn't fully understand. Where had her mother gone? Could she find her again? The door to salvation, the woman looked at Emma one last time, her eyes filled with deep pain. If you want to find your mother, you must face the storm again. But this time, you won't just search for her. You'll have to face yourself and what you fear most. The woman smiled and slowly faded into the darkness. Emma realized she had no choice but to find her mother, no matter what she had to face. The decision to find her mother, Emma no longer had time to think. She had heard the warning from the woman, and though she didn't fully understand, she knew she had to act immediately. The rain was still pouring, and the dense fog covered the entire neighborhood. She got into the car and drove. Her heart filled with worry, but also determination. She couldn't stop now because her mother was waiting somewhere in the darkness. Uma. The rain of fear, as Emma drove into an empty forest. She felt the air grow heavier. The rain fell harder, as if it wanted to consume everything around her. The streets became silent, with no one in sight, just the sound of the rain and the car's engine. Suddenly, she saw something flicker in the mist. A familiar figure appeared. It was her mother, standing beneath a tree, gazing at her with distant, hollow eyes. A voice from the darkness. Emma stopped the car and stepped out, her heart pounding. She walked toward her mother, but as she got closer, the figure disappeared. Emma ran around, calling out her mother's name, but only the wind and rain answered. Suddenly, a voice echoed from behind her. You cannot save her. She has become part of the darkness. Emma turned around and saw the elderly woman again. The door to another world. The elderly woman stepped closer to Emma, looking at her with eyes full of understanding. You cannot understand right away, but if you want to free your mother, you must accept this darkness. She pointed toward an old, crumbling house overrun with weeds. That's where you will find the truth. Emma had no choice but to follow her guidance. She walked into the house and felt a cold gust of wind sweep through. The uneasy feeling inside the house. There was no one but Emma. Everything was silent, except for the sound of her footsteps echoing in the vast space. Suddenly, a large mirror appeared in front of her. Reflected in it was not Emma, but another woman. A woman with eyes identical to her mother's. She gazed at Emma with mysterious eyes. You've come, Emma, the woman said, her voice echoing in Emma's mind. The prophecy, your mother fell into this darkness when she sought the truth, just like you now. The woman continued, if you want to free her, you will have to face your deepest fears. Emma felt her heart stop. She didn't know what to do. But the woman's voice continued, to save your mother, you must awaken the forgotten memory. Stepping into the past, Emma looked into the mirror, where the woman's reflection still stared back at her. To save your mother, you must uncover the memory you have forgotten. The woman's voice repeated, gentle, yet powerful. Emma didn't know what memory it was, but she felt a powerful wave rising in her chest. She closed her eyes and tried to recall all the memories from her childhood. Suddenly, an image of a rainy day, much like today, appeared in her mind. She saw her mother, Rachel, standing by the window, gazing outside with a worried expression. The loss in memory. In the hazy memory, Emma realized that her mother had always been afraid of something. She remembered the times her mother would warn her never to go near the forest behind their house, where her mother had once ventured on a rainy night. Never go there, Emma, her mother had said. Her eyes filled with fear. Emma didn't understand why, but this memory seemed like a locked door in her mind. Discovering the forest secret, Emma decided to enter the forest behind the house, the place her mother had warned her never to go. She couldn't explain why, but something inside her urged her to uncover the truth. The rain continued to fall, and as she stepped into the forest, the feeling of unease and fear took over again. The tall trees above her created a canopy, making the space feel dark and oppressive. A locked gate, Emma ventured deeper into the forest, and she felt the eerie silence surrounding her. The sounds of the world seemed muffled in this dark space. She walked towards an old rusted iron gate, standing alone in the forest, like a door to another world. The gate was locked, but Emma felt a strange pull from inside. She struggled to unlock it, and finally, the door creaked open, leading her to another part of the forest. Journey into the darkness. As soon as Emma passed through the gate, she felt a chilling cold invade her body. She stepped into an area where light couldn't reach, where the darkness seemed to envelop everything. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind her. Turning around, she saw a shadowy figure, her mother, standing there in the dark. "Mom, I found you," Emma cried out. But her mother didn't respond, only staring at her with eyes full of pain and helplessness. The truth. Revealed, Emma walked toward her mother, but with each step, the distance between them grew further. She couldn't understand why her mother didn't speak. And finally, when she stood before her, a cold voice echoed in her mind. "Your mother has gone to a place where she cannot return. You cannot save her." A wave of despair and pain overwhelmed Emma, and she collapsed to the ground. The final decision, Emma sat on the ground, feeling completely defeated. The words of the voice still echoed in her mind. You cannot save her. But a part of Emma refused to accept that. No. My mother cannot be lost like this, she told herself. She stood up, took a deep breath, and looked into the darkness ahead. She could not continue living in fear and helplessness. Her mother needed freedom, and to do that, she would have to face the truth in the darkness. Facing the darkness, Emma walked toward the darkness, her heart pounding in her chest. She didn't know what would happen, but she felt she couldn't turn back. It felt as though an invisible force was calling her. As she stepped into the darkness, everything around her slowly faded, and the space became hazy. Emma couldn't see anything but a dense fog surrounding her. And then a figure appeared in front of her. It was her mother. The prophecy, her mother stood there. But this time, Emma felt a difference. You found me. But you must understand one thing. Not everything you find is good. Her mother smiled faintly, but her eyes were still full of sorrow. I got lost here because of a truth that cannot be explained. Now, you must choose. Stay in this darkness, or find another way out. Emma looked into her mother's eyes filled with unspoken truths. The final choice. Emma realized that to escape this darkness, she had to confront the fears inside her. She had to let go of all doubts and believe there was another way, a way to the light. She walked toward her mother, holding tightly the book she had found earlier, and began to recite the final incantations she had learned from the elderly woman. The final liberation as the final incantation echoed through the dark space. A powerful burst of light erupted, dissolving all the darkness. The cold and fear gradually faded away, and her mother smiled one last time. You did it, Emma, she said softly, before vanishing into the light. Emma felt the freedom she had given her mother. Everything returned to normal, and the light illuminated the surrounding forest. Life. After liberation, Emma returned to her home, a sense of relief and peace filling her. She knew that although her mother couldn't come back, she had been freed, and Emma had found peace in her soul. The rain from that day had passed, and the Seattle sky was bright once again. She had overcome the darkness and found the light. But Emma understood that sometimes freedom comes from facing our deepest fears. The fateful rainstorm. Lily, 16 years old, lived with her mother in a small house on the outskirts of Portland. Her mother, Mary, was the only family she had left after her father died in an accident. One rainy night, while Lily was in her room doing homework, her mother went out to the market but never returned. Lily called her, but her mother didn't answer. Worries begin. It was already midnight, but Lily couldn't stop worrying. She grabbed her coat and decided to go out to look for her mother. The rain kept pouring down, but her anxiety outweighed everything else. She drove to the market, but her mother was nowhere to be found. Everything seemed eerily quiet and strange. She felt an unsettling feeling, as if something was wrong. The empty store. Lily entered the store, where everything was closed. But in a dark corner of the store, she saw a shadowy figure. She walked closer and realized it was her mother's handbag. However, as she touched it, a chilling feeling washed over her, and a cold breeze blew through, making her jump. Fear began to surround her. The strange, clapping sound. Lily continued searching for her mother inside the store, when suddenly, she heard a soft clapping sound behind her. She turned around, but saw nothing but darkness. There was no one in the store, only the sound of the rain pouring outside. Lily felt something was wrong and decided to leave the store. But when she turned back to her car, she noticed the window glass was fogged up, as if someone had been standing near it. The search through the night. Lily drove through the deserted streets, but the strange feelings still wouldn't leave her. She decided to drive to a nearby forest, where her mother often took walks on rainy days. When she arrived, a strong gust of wind blew through, causing the trees to sway, and fog covered the forest. Lily walked into the woods, But after just a few steps, she heard a strange noise behind her. A strange figure turning around. Lily saw a shadowy figure standing in the mist. It was a woman with long hair, but her face was unclear. "Mom," Lily called out, but the woman didn't answer, only staring at Lily with eyes full of mystery. Lily felt fear, but part of her urged her to approach. She walked closer to the figure, but as she neared, the figure vanished into the air. The voice from the darkness. Lily stood frozen in the dark forest, her legs feeling numb. Although her heart was pounding in fear, a strange compulsion urged her to move forward. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the stillness. "You cannot save your mother like this. She has entered a place from which no one can return." Lily turned around and looked around, but all she could see was dense darkness. She felt like something large was lurking, yet invisible. The shadowy figure Lily took a step back, her heart racing. She couldn't fully understand what was happening, but a chilling sensation spread through her body. When she turned back to the car, the light from the rearview mirror startled her. In the mirror, her mother's shadowy figure appeared. She stood there, in the fog, her eyes no longer the same as Lily remembered. "Mom," Lily called out, but there was no response. The final warning, Lily quickly turned around and ran toward where her mother had been. But as she neared, the figure vanished into the thick fog. A feeling of despair took over, but Lily heard the voice again, this time not from the darkness, but from within her own mind. "Your mother is part of this place. You cannot pull her out. You cannot change anything." The voice echoed in her heart, making her feel as though she were standing between life and death. The door to the other side, Lily couldn't accept what the voice had just said. She couldn't give up. Her mother deserved to be freed from this world. She searched around, and then, in a moment, she noticed an old wooden door, hidden behind the thick trees. There was nothing clear about this door, but she felt a strong pull from within. She walked up to it and placed her hand on the doorknob. Stepping into the darkness when Lily opened the door, a cold gust of wind swept through, and the surroundings around her changed instantly. She stepped inside and felt the shift, as though she had just entered another world. Everything around her was blurry, with no light, only shadowy figures. Lily saw figures in the distance, all blurry and unclear. "Mom," she called out, but only an echo returned from the misty space. Reunion with her mother. The misty space, a familiar figure appeared. It was her mother, standing still, but her eyes were hollow. "Mom." Lily ran toward her, but as she got closer, her mother vanished into the dark space. "No," Lily cried out and rushed forward. But with each step, she sank deeper into despair. Touching the past, Lily stood in the darkness, a chilling sensation overtaking her body. "Mom, come back to me," Lily screamed. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the space, this time not from her mother, but from the strange woman from before. "You want to save your mother, but there is a price to be paid." Lily felt her heart choke. "What price?" she asked. But the voice did not respond. Don't. The mystery behind the darkness. Lily felt as though she were trapped in a never-ending cycle. She couldn't leave, couldn't move forward without the truth. A door opened in front of her, leading into the thick darkness. and her mother appeared again. But this time, not as a shadowy figure. "You have to understand, Lily," her mother said, her voice filled with pain. "I was pulled into this world by truths I couldn't face. I chose to stay for you, but I cannot return." The final choice. Lily looked into her mother's eyes, and she understood that for her mother to be freed, she had to accept the painful truth. "You have to let me go, Lily, for me to rest in peace," her mother said softly. "I stayed here because of you, but I can't continue anymore." Lily felt her heart break, but she understood that this was the final release her mother needed. The final price. Lily stood there, in the thick darkness, her heart shattered. She understood that her mother couldn't return, but she still couldn't accept that truth. "What can I do to set you free?" Lily asked through her tears. Her mother looked at her one last time, her eyes full of love. "You've done enough, Lily. Letting me go is the only way to free both of us." Stepping out of the darkness, Lily felt a gentle force pass through her, a sense of peace she had never known before. She slowly walked toward her mother, no longer feeling fear, no longer feeling helpless. "I'll let you go," Lily said, her voice filled with resolve. Her mother smiled, her eyes lighting up, then slowly faded away into the mist. Everything around her began to brighten, and the darkness slowly dissipated. Stepping into the light as her mother disappeared, the light finally shone into the space, dissolving all the darkness and mist. Lily stood there, feeling as if she had just emerged from a long nightmare. She looked around, and there was nothing to fear anymore. Her mother had been freed, and Lily felt a sense of peace in her heart. She turned and walked out of the forest, no longer feeling anxious or scared, opening the door to the future. As Lily returned home, she felt that everything around her was different. The small house no longer felt gloomy. The light from the first rays of the morning sun streamed through the window, creating a warm atmosphere. Lily knew that life would never be the same, but she also understood that she had overcome the greatest pain of her life. Her mother had gone, but her release was also Lily's release. Facing the future, Lily sat by the window, gazing outside. She no longer felt afraid of what lay ahead. She understood that life was a long journey with challenges. But with every obstacle overcome, she became stronger. Her mother was no longer by her side, but the lessons she had taught her would stay in her heart forever. A new light, finally. Lily stood up and looked out the window at the sky, where the dark clouds had finally cleared. The bright light of the morning shone down on the neighborhood. She didn't know what the future would hold, but she was ready to face it. New life was unfolding, and Lily would walk it alone, but with a heart full of strength and hope. A strange encounter. Lily began to feel that her life had completely changed. One day, while walking in the park near her house, she met an elderly man who seemed familiar, but she couldn't recall where she had seen him before. The man greeted her and said, "You're Mary's daughter, aren't you? You're not alone." Lily felt a strange sensation, as if he knew something she couldn't yet understand. Mysterious words. The elderly man continued, "Mary left you something very important. You need to understand that everything happens for a reason. You must prepare for what's coming next." Lily felt a faint sense of unease. not fully understanding what he meant, but sensing that his words would be significant in the future. Moving forward. Lily couldn't shake the thoughts of that encounter. She decided to continue her path and face the new challenges ahead. However, each step seemed to bring her closer to strange, unexplained things. A sense of unease and a desire to uncover more of her mother's past constantly urged her forward. The old notebook. After her strange encounter with the elderly man, Lily returned home and began searching through everything related to her mother. She decided to revisit the old notebooks her mother had left behind. In one small notebook, Lily found a blurry photograph of her mother standing beside an old house. Beneath the photo was a handwritten note that read, "This place holds a truth you've never known." The mystery behind the old house. Lily felt a strange wave of emotion as she looked at the photograph. She realized that the old house wasn't anywhere near her home, but was located in a distant area she had never heard of. She decided to go there, even though she didn't know what she would find. Still, part of her felt like this house was the key to answering all of her questions. Uncovering the mystery after a long journey. Lily finally arrived at the old house. It stood in the middle of a forest, like a place forgotten by time. The door had been abandoned, but as Lily stepped inside, she felt a strange, powerful energy. Old photographs, ancient objects appeared before her, and Lily gradually realized that this was where her mother had once lived, and where the mystery of her mother's disappearance began. Uncovering the truth. As Lily stepped into the old house, she felt a powerful energy surround her. Entering the living room, she saw familiar objects: the long chair her mother used to sit in, a faded picture of her father, and a small wooden box. Lily opened the box and found an old letter from her mother, written on a rainy day, just like today. "You will understand when you're ready. I love you." Lily felt a sense of release in her heart as she realized that her mother had prepared everything for her, but she needed time to face the truth. The final release. Lily read the letter and felt a profound peace. She realized that her mother had sacrificed herself to keep her safe, but also had to face the darkness for her to grow. She knew that freeing her mother wasn't just about saving her, but a journey Lily had to undergo to complete herself. As Lily turned around, the house began to fade, as if her mother had completed her mission and left this world. Stepping into the light finally, Lily stood in the forest, where the old house once stood. The sunlight finally pierced through the dark clouds, and everything around her became bright and clear. She understood that her mother had freed herself and Lily too. Walking out of the forest, Lily felt the freedom, ready to step into a new life.